The 2026 release of Adobe InDesign has a new feature, and that's the AI alt text generator, which automatically generates alt text for images. Should designers who create accessible PDFs from InDesign actually trust this as part of their accessibility work, or is it more of a risk? If you're creating accessible documents using InDesign, here's what you need to know. Welcome to Design Domination, where you'll gain confidence, clarity, and a competitive edge in a crowded marketplace so you can dominate your competition. Hi, I'm Colleen Gratzer, and I teach designers accessibility in plain English and without sacrificing your designs. Let's talk about the latest InDesign accessibility feature that was released with InDesign 2026 in January, and that's version 21.2, and it's the AI alt text generator. Automated alt text sounds like it could be a really cool time-saving feature. There's been a lot of talk about it online, and let me say, I have yet to see anything positive about it. And I've also tried it out for myself. But I didn't go rush to try out the new version of InDesign. I mean, if it ain't broke, you don't have to fix it, right? But let me tell you, once I installed the latest version, I immediately saw what many designers have been complaining about, and rightly so. I saw this T icon on image frames and was like, what's that? Well, that's the alt text generator. The AI alt text generator is enabled by default for many users, and apparently it has to do with whether or not you have a pro and an enterprise plan and with unlimited generative AI credits. Every time you go to generate alt text for an image, it uses a credit. Okay, so let's take a look at how the alt text generator works. So first you place an image into your InDesign file, and then you'll see a T icon for text at the bottom edge of the image frame. Now this is telling you that the image has automatically generated alt text. Okay, and then if you click Option on Mac or Alt on Windows and select the T icon, it will bring up the Object Export Options panel where you can then edit the alt text. You can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down depending on the result, how accurate it is. Now there's also an option to regenerate new alt text for an image. Is that like Russian roulette for alt text? Let's throw spaghetti at the wall and just see what sticks, I guess. Any images that already have alt text from a previous version of InDesign will not display the T icon, or at least they aren't supposed to. I think I saw a few designers saying that this happened anyway. But by the way, if you paste an image rather than use the place command, it seems to bypass the AI alt text generator. Okay, so now you might be wondering, how accurate is InDesign's AI alt text generator? Does it actually write good alt text? Well, let's take a look at this picture of my dog on the beach. It says a dog wearing a life jacket is on a beach. Okay, it's not technically a life jacket, but I could see how anybody would think it would be that. I mean, it's really just something to help me, lift him up if I need to. But what if this picture were being used on a product page to sell this particular item? I mean, that level of detail would need to, you would need to pay attention to that. So that would be wrong. That would be incorrect alt text in that case. So now let's try a logo. And it says a logo for Creative Boost. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily write it like that. I might say just Creative Boost logo, but that's good. I mean, it's accurate. Let's try this picture with two pencils. It says a yellow piece of paper with a pencil stuck in it. Not entirely accurate. Okay, here's an image of a calculator, and the alt text is a calculator is on top of a piece of paper with graphs and numbers. That's accurate. And I'm sure image quality plays a big factor in this too. Okay, here's a mock-up of a brochure, and it says a book is open to a page with a pie chart and a bar graph. That's also good. I mean, of course, it always depends on how the image is being used too. But I mean, so far this is pretty accurate. You may or may not need as much detail, or you might not. You might need to describe it differently based on how you're using the image, why you're including that image. Well, many designers have complained about it describing images inaccurately, with quite a few saying that it has generated nude figures as logo alt text. I mean, seriously? Clearly, this is a huge problem, and it's not just about incorrect alt text. I mean, if that alt text were to go unchecked and it didn't get fixed, that could really hurt an organization's reputation, and that goes beyond being considered unprofessional. So can designers trust this feature? Well, you should never, ever trust an automated tool for alt text. You always have to review whatever it comes up with. But here's something else that's an issue. If you haven't added alt text to images that should have it, you might just want to use an automated checker to catch that for you. So If you don't add alt text to an image and that image is in the reading order, even the Acrobat accessibility checker will flag it. But if InDesign's alt text generator adds the alt text automatically to an image, an automated checker will pass it because the alt text is present. So even poor alt text is still alt text, so it will pass the checker. So you really have to be mindful of checking alt text on all images. Now, one thing I'm concerned about too is that designers who don't know much about accessibility will use this feature and think it's helpful simply because it's adding something for alt text. And adding bad alt text is not better than no alt text. And not all images should have alt text. Something else I don't like about the alt text generator is that it seems like you have to remove the AI generated alt text image by image manually, and that is a huge time suck. I mean, there really should be a way to remove it for all images in the entire document in one fell swoop. I mean, otherwise you have to right or control click and then go to object export options or alt or option click and then remove the alt text on every single image. Again, this is supposed to be a feature. Now, many designers have also complained about performance issues when opening documents that have a lot of images and then the T icon appearing even after disabling the option. Now, if you're wondering if you can turn off the alt text generator, I have good news. Thankfully, you can adjust the settings or you can completely turn off the alt text generator. Now, if you want it off for all documents, then close all your InDesign files. And then if you're on Mac, go to InDesign, Preferences, Generative AI. If you use Windows, you're going to go to File, Preferences, Generative AI. Now you can turn off the feature for good by unchecking both options here. If you want InDesign to generate alt text, leave Auto Generate Alt Text when placing images checked. And then you can just turn off Add AI Generated Content tag for Auto Generated Alt Text if you want to have it add alt text but without the additional credit line to AI, which by the way should never appear in the final file. Nothing screams, we have no idea what we're doing with accessibility, or we don't care about accessibility other than ticking a box, other than actual evidence of alt text that's been added by AI and with a note saying it was generated that way. And why? Because that means that no one reviewed it. Because if they had, then they would have removed the note about it being AI generated. It's not a good look. All right, so let me know what you think of InDesign's AI alt text generator and if you've found it to be helpful in your workflow at all. Are you confused by alt text? Find out how to write good alt text and figure out which images do or don't need alt text. Download my free guide at creative-boost.com/alt text.